Brothers was kind enough to bring me down on the set in Louisiana, and I met Hilary Swank, who's a very engaging person. And I just wanted to, the movie bombed, of course, and so forth, so my Hollywood career went down in flames. But I just wanted to make this point. You could see why they chose Hilary Swank to play me. I think it's probably true. Thank you very much. I've gone over a bit, but I think we still have time for questions. Yeah, I got a late start and I waxed eloquent. Yes?
You frequently say that when you present with a case, you don't go in intending to debunk it. Right?
No.
You want to be as open-minded and fair as possible.
Yes.
But I can't help thinking, if you've been doing this for 40 years, and this is your 500th weeping icon.
Yes, you're exactly right. I would be a fool if I did not benefit from my research over these years. So I don't think it's as likely as not that the next haunted house will have a ghost in it. I think it's 99.99 something or better, that I want. But here's what I do. Those of you who've studied English literature know Coleridge's, Samuel Taylor Coleridge's famous critical dictum about the willing suspension of disbelief. In other words, when you go to a play or a movie theater, you don't sit there and say, "Hey Martha, those aren't real bullets. That was a stunt man did that," and so on. Those are just actors. No, you willingly suspend the disbelief in order to appreciate the story and so forth, right? And we all know Coleridge was right. It's smart to do that. I'm able to do something rather like that. What I do is I say, I know what you're thinking, yeah, you're probably, but let's just put that aside. Because what I want to do is I want to go in this house. Let's put aside the issue of a ghost. I want to ask the family, why is it you think there's a haunting? And I'm going to listen carefully, and then I'm going to see if I can explain what that is. Now that's a challenge. I'm going to try to explain that. So that's what I'm doing. Confident that if I can explain it, any needed debunking will take care of itself. I don't have to set out to debunk, but I am clearly setting out to explain. And I'm benefiting because I can say, when you start telling me you woke up and you saw a ghostly figure, I'm already ahead of you there. I know what's probably the case. Or when you tell me, we did one at Discovery Channel, did a thing on the most haunted place in America, the Myrtle's Plantation. And I got to spend the night. I may be the only person who's ever spent the night in the Myrtle's Plantation alone. There was nobody else. We got the whole place this evening, and I spent the night there. Even the ghost hunter types who had all their equipment and everything, they left and went back to their hotel. I spent the night there. And you see the program, and they have a couple on talking about how they heard this banging noise. And then the story goes on a little bit, and then you hear them say, well, what could it be? And then you hear the banging noise. You actually hear it on camera. They say, could it be? No, and then the camera switches. No, it's just Joe again, and he's banging a loose shutter out back. That's what I'm trying to do, is I'm trying to explain what here, for example, might explain this. I don't always know the actual explanation, but if I can give you a plausible one, then I'm going to invoke Occam's razor, which says if you have a couple of hypotheses that can account for the known data, just as a procedure, you should prefer the one, all things being equal, prefer the one that makes the fewest assumptions. So a prankster could have done this, or extraterrestrials from a distant planet invented spacecraft and came across the galaxies and they did this. Well, maybe it's just a prank. But I am trying to explain. But you're exactly right. You're on to me. Yes, sir.
Have you ever had an opportunity to investigate claims related to Qigong?
Yes. 2 times that I can think of. I think there is no chi energy. Science cannot find this. is we have crafty martial arts people proving the use of it. And just to give you a couple of quick instances, one of them, some of my students kept telling me about this master who could just sort of gesture at a candle flame and the candle flame would go out from quite a distance away. Well, I had to see this. He says he flings this chi energy, this life force energy, off and it knocks out the candle flame. So I went and watched him. Well, it looked more like this. And I thought, I think he might just be shoving air at it. And I went home and practiced, and I nearly threw my mark. But I succeeded in doing it. And I got a new appreciation for it. It takes some skill to hit it accurately. It's a little puff of burst of air, and you have to do it just right. But I believe that's all that was. Another one was for, I shouldn't say much about this because it was an experimental pilot for a possible TV series, and I'm talking out of school, but a guy who claimed that the power of rooting, that is, he could stand a certain way, brace himself, a little wiry Korean guy, and invite you to try to move it. And you can. He'll send you sprawling. Man, big guys, great, big. The bigger they were, the more funny it looked. And he just push him up. So, but I had gotten an advanced film of him doing this, and I studied it. Simply principles of leverage, center of gravity. He's down here. Bigger they are, the harder, and so forth. So I watched some of this, and I said, "May I try, sir?" So I went up, and I just instantly crouched down. It's hard to do. He's a little. I crouched way down, grabbed him, and just moved him right away. Moved him, several steps. Oh, he protested. You're not supposed to do it that. No, you're supposed to stand the way he says to stand. You're to move and do just what he says when he says it, and so forth. Just the way when the magician is doing the card trick for you, you're not supposed to grab the deck. It's impolite. And I was impolite, and I immediately apologized, and we get some more film of him pushing me around, and he felt much better when he left. I'd already shown that, no, there's nothing magic about this. Yes?
Two questions. First of all, is cattle mutilations, since that seems to be a big one out here in Colorado.
Yes.
I'm sure Vegas is going to
A retired FBI agent, many years ago, back in, I think, the late 80s, did a special study of those, classic study. And he showed that all of these cases, what's happening is that the animals die, and little critters come and feast. And with their sharp little teeth, they will bite off usually the tender parts, the nose, the udder, and so forth. And that's the parts that are missing. That some of these precision scalpel-like cuts and so forth were probably only after they snipped with their teeth, the animal bloated and swelled up in the process of decomposition and stretched tight, and it looked sharper, and so on. We found animal droppings and so forth, and so forth. The same thing with the chupacabra phenomenon. Chupacabras are supposed to be attacking animals in Mexico, Puerto Rico. It's mostly Spanish, Cape of Florida, and the Spanish-speaking population. And in Mexico, they set up the stakeouts. And they found that these were predatory animals, and that there was no chupacabra. The claim that these animals were drained of blood, this is a big refrain in a lot of things. No, they had necropsies were done on ones in Florida, and they were not drained of blood. You know what happens?
Dehydration.
Actually, something else. The word I'm looking for is gravity. Blood simply settles. If you watch CSI, you'll notice, you hear the word lividity. Oh, this person, their body was first somewhere else for a few hours, and then they were dumped in the ditch, because all on the bottom of their buttocks and so forth is this where the blood settled. It looks like black bruising. The blood settled. And then if you move the body into a different posture, you can see that it was moved. And the blood wasn't drained out, it just settled down in the bottommost parts, and it had that effect. But a necropsy, as it's properly